This question says, a student carried out an investigation to determine the spring constant of a spring. Table 1 gives the data obtained by the student. Describe a method the student could have used to obtain the data given in Table 1. Your answer should include any cause of inaccuracy in the data. Now, the first thing to note about this question is a lot of students might be thrown by spring constant if they've forgotten what it is, but it actually is irrelevant to the question. We are told to describe a method to obtain the data given in Table 1. Table 1 shows forces and extensions, and we are told this is about a spring. So even without knowing what spring constant is, this question's still completely doable. Now we'll look at another student's answer. So it says you may include a labeled diagram. Now, because it says you may include, it means you don't have to, but this student's chosen to. Now, it's not the best drawing in the world, but that doesn't matter because it's clearly labelled and it's clear what they're trying to draw. They're showing the table, the spring clamped off the side of it, weights on the bottom, which they do label on this one, a ruler to measure the length, extra weights if they need it. So although the diagram's not the best drawing in the world, it is clear what they're trying to show. So they will have gained credit for the setup. They then go on to say, attach a spring to the end of a table. With a ruler, measure the spring without any weight. Next, add extra weight, 2 newtons at a time, and measure the spring after the weight has been put on with a ruler. Add up to 10 newtons of extra mass and complete the experiment again to find more results for each of the added masses to get an average. The extension may be a little different due to human error of how the measuring is done. And this student, if I just scroll down, they've got 4 marks out of 6 for this answer. So it's actually a fairly good answer. But we'll have a look through it. We'll see where they've got the marks and how they could actually improve their answer to get 6. So, as I've said before, they've got credit for their equipment setup. They're showing masses, weights being added to the bottom of a spring even, and they're clearly showing a ruler used to measure it. So they said, attach a spring to the end of the table. With a ruler, measure the spring without any weight. A lot of students forget to measure the spring before adding weight, so that's definitely got them credit. They've also made it clear that they're measuring it with a ruler. I know that's obvious, but you must state the equipment you're going to use. They then describe adding extra weight. They say how much. They say keep adding it to keep taking more readings. Again, a lot of students forget that. A lot of students will just say add weight, measure it, and will forget to say to keep going. So they've done that. They say this is to find an average. So they've described the experiment well. It's clear what they're trying to do. They've made it clear they're doing several readings. They've made it clear they're finding an average. Their equipment setup was good. But let's see where they can actually get more. Now, the question did say, and they have attempted to state a reason why the results might be inaccurate, but the student has said it may be human error. Now, human error will never get you any marks. You must say what the human error is. They're not wrong, they're just not being clear about what could have gone wrong. And the answer with this is any reasonable suggestion would get them credit. So, a reasonable suggestion with this, maybe the spring was bouncing a little bit when they tried to measure it. Maybe the ruler wasn't straight. Any of those would be good examples of human error. So that's what they could have done to just add a little bit more to their answer and maybe get into that 5 or 6 mark bracket. The other thing they've missed, if I go back, they've said to measure the spring without any weight. They've then said to measure it with weight. But if I just go back to the table is clear that it wants extension. The student hasn't told me how to find extension from their results. So what they could do is add somewhere in their answer that extension is length with weight take away the original length. Apologies for my handwriting. If they then added that as well, they're making it clear they're finding extension. So just by making it clear how they're using their measurements to get what's in the table and being more specific on human error, this student could have actually improved it to get 6 out of 6.